Hi again. If you remember, we had a previous open book session on a rough photo book I called Misery. It explored, in just a few pictures, the harsh reality of the homeless I've found and have taken pictures of over many years. This is a new book in this session called Open Book 2, called How Do You Want to Be Remembered? And in this book, a rough photo book I made recently, in the beginning of February 2020, is a series of portraits of people I've met, of friends, family, and perfect strangers, with the hope of gaining a little bit more understanding of human nature. So why don't we read together this book, the series of portraits, to give us some idea of who we are. How Do You Want to Be Remembered? By me, Jay Martin. And today is the 1st of February, actually, 2020. We want to be remembered. We think memory grants us an afterlife. I remember this guy. His name was Joe, I think. He was a laboratory technician at UCSF in the mid-90s. He worked at the Italian grocery in the Ferry Building by the bay. That's, by the way, when it recently opened. When it opened, it was around 1990, or a little bit after, actually. He worked two very different jobs. I wasn't really sure who he was professionally, and this print shows my confusion about who he was. This is a little bit more recent and more local to where I live. This woman was the mother of two musician sons. The family lived down the street from us. 10 years ago, when she was alive, she liked sitting outside of her home. This mother hated the son. She never said no to my taking her picture. There was the bench where she sat, sunning herself, but the bench is gone. Oh, it's been gone for at least 5 years now. You and I can remember her hat. Some of the portraits I took captured trends in style, fashion. 3 years ago, mirrored glasses were the thing. When the woman wears hers at the farmer's market at Stonestown Shopping Center, those farmers markets are on Sundays, by the way. They still go on. She's very willing to have her picture taken. She says very little about herself. The mirrors don't show much more. I don't remember how I met this man. I don't remember when I took his picture. He's half blind. Unlike the woman with the mirrored glasses, this man's one good eye sees a lot, I think. Maybe the truth we can't see. Maria was a barista at Pete's in Soma. I told her, as I asked many strangers before taking their pictures, the light looks good on you. You should have your picture taken. Maria's fellow baristas egg her on to have her picture taken, and I took her picture. I emailed Maria her picture, but never heard back from her. Maybe the light wasn't so good, or she didn't want to deal with me anymore. Coming and going is often the only way in order to take pictures of strangers. Who can you trust anyway? You can see why I took this woman's picture. Even in a bookstore on West Portal, she's radiant. Her hood frames a pale face and dark eyes. We remember strong first impressions. Sometimes that's enough. We learn all we need to know from a person, even if it's someone whom we think is beautiful or ugly. It's something that stays with us. Often these first impressions prompt me to take pictures of people, family, friends, strangers. I've known my friend Steve since high school, over 30 years now. A month hasn't gone by when we haven't written each other or chatted or texted. When he was in town in San Francisco about 5 years ago, I shot Steve on my front lawn. The picture is another layer added to our deeply lacquered history. You can see there are vastly different portraits in this photo book. That's what makes it a little bit more interesting than most pile of pictures. About 4 years ago, I ran into this man and his family at Stern Grove, where the dogs play. Well, they also have concerts too during the summer on Sundays, but it's a dog park too. This man's daughter's arm finds his dad's shoulder. Father and daughter stand before a fallen tree while the mother and son are playing in the dog run. It's hot. None of the family wear much. The father is happy to have his portrait taken because we will all remember him with his family. About a year later, I had breakfast with the family at Princeton by the Sea. That's a seaside town along Highway 1 in California. It's incorporated into Half Moon Bay now. Despite the dreadlocks, the family were straining to be conventional with me over breakfast. They were doing just fine. This is such a sharp picture. I'm rather proud of this portrait, actually. And this fellow should be remembered because the quality of the picture is pretty good. Why West Portal, the bastion of white middle class, is a source of photographic inspiration, I can't say. It might have to do with the train station that's been there for 100 years. The station draws all sorts. Here, the man is about to board the train. He's saying, "You can remember me this way or that." You, with the camera, you are the messenger. Most of the previous pictures are headshots. Here are some environmental portraits. In this shot, the woman is flattered by my taking her picture. She is embarrassed by the attention. Marin and the Golden Gate bestow on her grace. She seems very self-assured in this picture. I'm rather pleased that she was willing to have this picture taken. She should be pleased too. Modesty in the last shot, fear in this one. 15 years ago, this man was in a series of pictures I took to show the things that were dear to the homeless. His things show us his life, but not who he is. We can remember his eyes. And the last picture of the photo book. You see me half gone. When the room is empty, you can fill in the space by remembering me or someone else. You, too, are disappearing. It will be up to your partner, the barista, the neighbor, the stranger, practically any person you run into in your life, to remember you. You who brought joy or grief by will or luck. A picture of you might conjure recollection among friends, family, strangers, but you will fade. Go on with your life anyway. This is the natural course.